Yeah, dog. And we're live. Welcome to R2R Wreck to Riches live stream number 14. All right. Don't forget to smash the like button, drop a comment. Always remember, I'm not a financial advisor. Financial, not a professional. This is cryptocurrency. You could get wrecked. Let's get into it. What is HYDRA? We're going to talk about what is HYDRA. Before we get into that, Monster, check. Water bottle right here, check. And Gatorade Zero, check. And don't forget, guys, check the link in the description. If you have not been spending most of your time and day tapping away for that free airdrop, well, it's not free. You got to put some effort. That tap to earn bunnies, chopping them carrots, then I don't know what you've been doing with your life. I've been tapping away, earning, burning through these carrots, earning the points. Links in the description. You can only use a smartphone. It operates on the Telegram through a Telegram bot, and you can start earning that airdrop today. So we're going to talk about what is HYDRA, what could HYDRA do for the Titanx ecosystem. Is it bullish? What does this flywheel, how is this flywheel going to operate? What can it do for you and I? Let's hop into it. First of all, I want to acknowledge who is in the chat. Hey, everybody go out there on all your social media platforms. I'm going to get on my phone live right now too and post it on X, right? We want to post this video on X. We want to get it trending. We want to get the Titanx community in here. We want to get everybody who supports this channel to watch this. Shout out to Jay Perry, what it do, Matt Coach, 1000X Titanx. Hey man, hey, it could happen. Anything could happen in crypto. I mean, if the tokenomics are there, then the tokenomics are there. The participation, we're going to talk heavily about participation, is where the bread and butter is for this entire operation. Participation, all right? That is the key word here. Let me just get all my tags together. What am I putting? Build on Titanx. That's a hashtag. Hashtag build on Titanx, right? Get all that together, get the community here. And I'm posting this live on X so that people can join. All right. World questions. What happens with the 369 payout is done? Within what? We'll get into that. Don't worry. Let's jump into the light paper that launched yesterday. So the light paper is here. We're going to cover this. First, let's look at what's going on with Titanx, right? Titanx right now is 6 zeros and an 8-1. It's up 17% in the green in the last 24 hours. Look at the chart here. I mean, this is going to be... I'm imagining these chart people out here looking at these this chart and going, damn, what's going on? And then they get introduced to an ecosystem that has all these flywheels, and they're going, whoa, this is probably outside of like what I normally do to calculate what's going to happen based on RSI and all these different factors or Fibonacci, whatever it may be. The flywheel is something that's like, how could you chart that? How could you chart the flywheels, the burning mechanics, and all the things that are going on, trending on X? The human emotion, the sentiment right now is very bullish for the Titanx ecosystem. And then you have DragonX, which the founder of DragonX, Eric, right? He is the brain behind the madness for HYDRA, the creator of HYDRA, which is going to be pretty much, and by the way, DragonX is 4 zeros and a 1105. It's up 15.49%. HYDRA is basically Hyper. Hyper was built to support Titanx. HYDRA is built to support DragonX, and ultimately, this is going to help burn Titanx. When Hyper. Hyper was made to help Titanx ecosystem, and then this is HYDRA, HYDRA. HYDRA is meant to help the DragonX while burning Titanx. When Hyper first came out, I thought they were going to implement it so that instead of using Ethereum, you'd use Titanx, and that wasn't the case. But it is the case here, right? It definitely is the case here on burning Titanx to create these HYDRA miners. So, looking at the stats, $59.6 million market cap, $780,000 in LP. All right. So what is HYDRA? All right. Welcome to HYDRA. So the goal of HYDRA project is to take what Jake has learned from building Titanx and Hyper, two decentralized mining protocols, to improve these designs and utilize the unique tokenomics of DragonX project for the benefit of Titanx project. So DragonX is like on a delayed gratification as far as helping the Titanx ecosystem, as far as burning the tokens. You got to remember, if you were there for the very beginning of DragonX, this was the first protocol to be built that we were all swarming around for support. I was very supportive at the very, very beginning, and then the staking things happened. Let me explain to you the beginning. DragonX comes out, we have this ratio, right? This ratio, if you go to the white paper, where we had a time period to swap our Titanx for this DragonX token, right? And week 1 was a 1-to-1 ratio. Week 2, 1-to-1. So you had 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So in that 2 weeks at the beginning, I swapped, right? It was nothing to write a letter home about. I didn't talk about it because the sentiment there was very unsure, right? Because we were like, okay, there's going to be build on Titanx projects. We understood that was coming, but we knew how precious Titanx was. You know, all roads lead to Titanx. So the participation for the swapping between Titanx and DragonX seemed very hesitant. It had a nice hype, like day 1, I got in, everyone got in, and it was just like, then it just kind of flatlined. And then you could feel like the uncertainty, there, not doubt, just uncertainty, like unsure what's going to become of this. We don't want to get rid of our Titanx because we believe 55,000x, 1,000x, you know, all kinds of speculation. And the participation was low. So at that point, when you're looking at the mechanics, we're like, well, if this thing is going to use the staking payouts for Titanx, it's not looking too good yet. The Genesis wallet, however, jumped in, which the Genesis wallet from Titanx accumulated 3% of the Ethereum from the miners that originally started with Titanx create miners. So that ETH got distributed to the staking payout pools. It got distributed to the buy and burn, where you see the V1 and V2. If you go here, this right here was all of the work of you guys. Pat on the back for everybody that made Titanx miners at the beginning, because you fed, and I'm going into this to go back in history because this is the potential of what can happen with the DragonX flywheel that started for its own token, right? So the 4,458 ETH that's sitting there in the back pocket, that is thanks to you, the community that participated, right? That is all thanks to you guys. That got distributed from the miners, the Ethereum that was used from the miners, and it whipped 62% of that went to the buy and burn V1, and it loaded up V2 very nicely, right? 28% went to these payout cycles. So if you go back and you'll take a look at the payout cycles, this is where people were making bank for staking their Titanx, right? ROI, a lot of people ROI, a lot of people didn't ROI after the DragonX participation due to the Genesis wallet participation, which was for the greater good. You know, we're not going to go into the, you know, the thought mindset it was back then. But look, at 7% of ETH goes to the burn pool, 3% to the Genesis wallet. The Genesis wallet holds a ton of Titanx. The promise was that it would never sell. It would never do anything harmful. And at the time, instead of swapping 1-to-1 like in the white paper, because you swap 1-to-1 and then it goes into staking the Titanx to take some of the percentage of the staking payout that we, the investors, filled up by buying miners, and then that got us staking rewards. Well, the Genesis wallet shot a ton of Titanx into the smart contract. It didn't swap. And then it took the lion's share of the ETH payouts right before day 90. It was going to be the biggest payout ever for everybody. Everyone got diluted, and it was like, hey, man, this is for the greater good. We're going to take that payout, and we're going to take this payout and apply it to the Ethereum that's going to be used to buy and burn Titanx. So DragonX initially was buying and burning Titanx through the mechanics at the beginning. Now it hasn't in a long time. The next time that's going to happen, at the day 90 payout of ETH was used completely to buy and burn Titanx and all that stuff. Just if you go read the white paper, it's all there. Now 369, day 369 is like the end of October. We have $2 million. That's 876 Ethereum lined up to do what it was doing at the beginning, but it ran dry because no one was making miners. The miner payouts weren't paying out in these cycles anymore like it was once upon a time. So that is what you have to look forward to and what's probably being designed, but in kind of a different in a different way, right? As we get into Hydra, we're going to be able to see that. But if you go into the stats for Titanx, now DragonX, once that payout happens, it's going to have ETH in its buy and burn to buy and burn Titanx because it only burned. Let's take a look. A total of, you see the build on Titanx leaderboard. DragonX at the top, Hyper, Inferno, and Helios. So the Genesis wallet is the reason why today DragonX is as powerful as it is. The investor money went into the pool. The Genesis wallet diluted that pool and for the greater good. And that's why it's set up for day 369 to burn the living daylights of the Titanx. But prior to that, it's only burns, let's see, 81 billion tokens. That's all it's done for the ecosystem so far as burning tokens. You can plug in that number. That's worth $66,000 worth of Titanx at today's prices. It was worth more when it was burning when the prices were a little bit higher. But those are the numbers behind the madness there, which there's going to be a huge contribution to that, about $2 million worth. So even Inferno at this point has burned a lot more than DragonX this early on, which is 463 billion. Helios as well. So DragonX is going to have its day. Now going into Hydra, right? It's going to break down the mining, the mechanics behind the mining. And this is where the madness is, and this is where why we jumped into what started everything for Titanx to make it go to where it was, all the way to where it's at now, and how another cycle of mining is going to be heavy with Hydra plus Hyper, and these flywheels keep on spinning, okay? Hopefully you guys are still with me. Just giving you a little history background so you understand, where all the ETH got distributed and where all the ETH's coming from that's going to help DragonX burn Titanx on top of what Hydra's going to do. So it's all happening like in a chain of events, and it's like perfect timing right before a bull market, possibly. Look what happened with Fifi today. Not sure what that is. What are your thoughts on Hyper? Market cap can do like DragonX. We'll take a look at Hyper also in a minute here. But taking a look at the mining, right? You're going to be able to make Hydra miners. And I don't have the website. The website's not up. I imagine it's going to look exactly like Titanx, where you create miners. But the only thing is you're going to be able to make these miners with your Titanx, right? And then that Titanx is going to be distributed amongst that ecosystem like the ETH was. So that's the close relationship on how almost identical Hydra is to the Titanx and everything else that came after it. Helios at some aspects, Hyper, identical with the miners, distributes it to these burning pools and all these other helpful factors. So you're going to be able to choose different days and lengths, and the number of days chosen when starting your miner is going to be between 1 to 88 days. That's identical to Hyper. So if you know Hyper, you pretty much know Hydra. If you know Titanx and how the beginning phases were, you pretty much know Hydra. It's like they're all close cousins, first cousins. Now let's jump into it. So you're going to be able to choose between 1 to 88 days. 88 days being the max. Current Hydra mineable. So the amount of Hydra per day you can get, this goes down every day. Just like Titanx. If you want to see how Titanx goes down every day, the difficulty to mine tokens every 24 hours goes down. It increases. The difficulty increases, so the amount of tokens you can make goes down. If you can make 1,000 Titanx tokens today, tomorrow you can only make, 900 tokens, for example. The next day, 890 tokens. It's not the exact math, but you see what I'm trying to say. The difficulty increases, less tokens could be mined over time. All right, so and now that tweet right there, we're going to reflect back to that. I gotta remember the current cost per 10,000 power max miner. This goes up every day. So max power, reflecting back to here, this right here with Titanx, the power you want your miner to have from 1 to 100 determines the ETH cost, right? So power cost, whatever you choose between the ranges, is going to determine how much Titanx it's going to cost you to make a HYDRA miner between 1 to 88 days. So when people select a max power HYDRA miner, it's going to utilize the most Titanx tokens. Now they have single miners. You can make one miner at a time. Miner ladders, or you can set them up just like Hyper, pretty identical. If you're new to this, you need to study the white paper and go reflect on Hyper's website to see, and then go back to Titanx so you can see what everything was birthed from. So it's like a continuous replica of Titanx, made its own flywheel, designed to use the investor Ethereum to incentivize for staking. The staking was no longer an incentive flywheel. That flywheel got shut down. DragonX now owns the lion's share. You can call it, a takeover, hostile takeover. That's what we thought about it at first, but it was for the greater good. So it was done strategically to work out this way, where now it has all this ETH, all this Ethereum, right? Waiting for 369 to hit, which is going to be like towards the end of October. But it's $2 million, 876. The grand scheme of things, it's not a lot, but this could be, Hydra's going to help, and Hyper and everything. The entire flywheel is going to help continue the journey of burning Titanx, and on top of that, DragonX as well, with the features that we'll go over. So pretty much, the same. So if you have any questions on like the penalties and all that, when you make a miner, that's important to know, right? Because when you make a miner, if you're 1 day late to claim it, you lose 1% of your HYDRA. All the way to 7 days late to collect your miner at the end of the road, right? You lose 99% of that. So that is important to understand. I want to go through the important things of the white paper because there's so much, right? The important thing is to understand the distribution. Where is your money going? That's where everybody was excited about with Titanx when it launched. Where was the ETH going? I see it's going into the 3% with the Genesis wallet. Cool. I see 62% is going into the V1 buy and burn. Cool. Now we know what it does, and we saw the power behind that. It helped sustain the price during very hyperinflationary times in the ecosystem. Let me reflect to the chat here. Make sure answer any quick questions. What could be the swap ratio of HYDRA though for DragonX? This is a different model. It's not like you're swapping, and I don't know what the outcome is going to be with the ratios. But maybe this will help you understand. So to mine HYDRA, I already told you, you're going to use Titanx plus time. Your Titanx tokens, and you're going to choose 1 to 88 days. Delayed gratification of its best is the longest length, which would be 88 days. That's what I recommend for myself. The Titanx distribution, so 20% of the Titanx, right? Your money, your Titanx, the 20% of the Titanx gets sent directly to the DragonX vault. Keep that in mind. 80% of the Titanx buys DragonX via Titanx DragonX LP Uniswap v3. So it's going to be used to buy DragonX, and it's going to help DragonX price go up, right? So initially when this comes out, when you think about it, Titanx is going to help DragonX price go up a lot versus what it did for Titanx before DragonX has its day to really elevate Titanx's price with the buy and burn. But you're going to be taking Titanx off of the market, 80% of what goes in. So it's like a win-win all across the board. But you got to understand, like, every little thing that's happened by detail, so you know, like, where's the money going, so you understand what the outcome could be as far as how much money you can make based off the price of Dragonex and Titanx, right? So step 2, from the Dragonex bought off the market, right? 20% of the Dragonex bots gets burned forever. Gets burned forever. Let me go into this diagram from good old Walter Monks. He made this short and sweet, very simple, right? He goes, what happens with 1 billion Titanx used to mine Hydra? 1 billion. So let's take the 1 billion Titanx that you use to mine Hydra, to make these miners. Well, many good and efficient stuff, about a whopping 64% goes back to burn Hydra. That's bullish. So if you look at the chart here, long and short of it, right? How 1 billion Titanx is used to mine Hydra would be distributed. 20% of that 1 billion would be 200 million goes to the Dragonex vaults. 16%, which is 160 million tokens out of that 1 billion, burns Dragonex. 64%, which would be 640 million tokens, burns Hydra. So that equals the 100% combined together, and what would happen in a scenario of per 1 billion Titanx used in this HYDRA ecosystem. I think, and I'll leave that up here so you can digest that, and we'll answer some, anyone in the chat. Go get those Titanx people out in here. Anyone got any questions, anything you want me to cover about this and I'm missing, let me know. But in a nutshell, going per 1 billion Titanx tokens, that's what's happening with your money. And if you're a Dragonex holder, you're like, okay, I'm excited. It's burning Dragonex. Great. You're involved in Hydra. Great. A lot, 64% is burning Hydra. My goal is to get more Dragonex. So hoping that swap ratios is higher, maybe 1 to 110. We will see. Yeah, I'm not sure what those ratios are going to be. But look at that chart there that I showed you. That's a beautiful thing, right? So what this does is this creates a deflation effect on Titanx. 20% gets staked and restaked forever for the Dragonex vault. And Dragonex, burning 20% of Dragonex, is bought off the market. And that's the distribution there. In a nutshell, the most important factor of the beginning of the flywheel of what happens. Those numbers and those numbers right there can elevate Titanx, Dragonex, and Hydra based on participation. So here's the important thing I want to throw out there, right? Here's what I'm very curious about, because I know everybody's like, hey, look, Dragonex. You're the reason why Dragonex is doing what it's doing. You are the reason. If you were an OG investor in Titanx, whether you like that person, some of you don't like me, it is what it is, and I'm fine with that. The OG people that made miners for Titanx, their money got distributed into those staking payouts. That staking payout got into the hands of the Dragonex smart contract, where the Genesis wallet dumped all that Titanx to do that. It was strategically done before day 90 for Dragonex to have the ability to burn. That's what, the $66,000 worth of tokens, right? And then for the delayed gratification, for the greater good, the benevolent whale has the opportunity to utilize all that ETH, like 860 plus we just showed. We'll take a look at the exact number, 876 to be exact, to utilize that. So that all came from investor money. That is all investor money right there. The Genesis wallet, you know, the deployer deployed all those tokens. The Genesis wallet has the tokens. So when it did that, it strategically did this for this moment that's going to happen. So with Hydra, to kick this flywheel into effect, is there a forced entry point? I call it a forced entry because, like I said, the Dragonex participation was low. Everyone was like, wasn't any FUD. It was just like, I don't see anybody going in after me. Let me put 200 million. And then the excitement was dead until the Genesis wallet went BAM! Then the FOMO kicked off. Then it was like, okay, Dragonex is going to do really good now because it took that payout, and now it belongs there to use for the greater good later. Could the second time the Genesis wallet actually participates in another flywheel aspect of Titanx ecosystem in Hydra? to kickstart that. It could, and where it could happen, where could it happen? Could it create a ton of miners, or could it send Titanx straight into the smart contract, right, for the purpose of distribution, where it would use that Titanx to the vault, 20% to the vault, and 80% to buy DragonX off the market? I don't know. There's no expectations, but you can speculate. Because he did help DragonX. Without the Genesis wallet, we are not where we are today with DragonX. There wasn't enough participation. It would have had to gradually, increase by people going, okay, I'm going to swap. And then when the price went down, so we got to thank the Genesis wallet. That is a very good actor, right? Eric built it. The community made it where it is today with participation, and for the participation of the early miners that got the Ethereum to even be diluted to pay, or even before to pay out the people, we paid ourselves. So you got to thank yourself as a community that everyone made this happen. So what's going to drive this is your participation here. And with a little bit of help of the Genesis wallet, who knows what it could do on any level to help Hydra. If it does participate, then, and it does it in a fashion in which it did with DragonX, then that will kickstart this. Because you got to say here, are people going to go ape into this at the beginning? The excitement's there. It seems like that was the excitement for DragonX, but people wanted to hold on to their precious Titanx, right? So they were uncertain. There was no doubt. They just, I don't know what's going to happen. That surprise happened. So another surprise happening. You never know. You never know. So mineable per day mining goes down 0.028%, right? Important thing too to understand about Hyper. Hydra has the same aspect as far as the vortex. The vortex here. Another angle where Genesis wallet participation, who knows? I'm just throwing it out there. There could be some big things that happen. 8% of all Titanx used to start Hydra miners also get stored in the vortex. That's your money, your Titanx goes there. 10% of all DragonX bought with Titanx via the Titanx DragonX pool gets stored inside the vortex. So the DragonX in the vortex, 100% is used to buy and burn Hydra via DragonX Hydra, gets released every 98 days, right? 98 days. The Titanx in the vortex, 100% is used to buy back DragonX via Titanx DragonX, and then buy and burn Hydra with the DragonX that is bought. All right? So there's a whole lot of repeat. Like, Titanx was, like, so good. The way it was designed was itty-bitty flaws that were corrected. You saw, I'm not the one saying that. The white paper said it itself. Things that basically could have made better. It resulted all the way down to here, the Hydra, right? And it's using those different things, those changes, to amplify what it originally did and recreate it. Its design. Reinvent the wheel, but make it a little bit better. That's where Hyper was done. And then you saw the feedback and stats from Hyper, and then you said, well, Hydra is going to be a little bit better because here's what we're going to do. Same things, but we're going to do this, this, and that. Might be the exact replica for all I know and understand, but it's going to help. So Project Burning 2.0, right? Here we can skip this part. There's no staking, right? And then early claim miners, we talked about that. Well, we'll talk about that too, because you'll be able to early claim. But the Burn 2.0 mechanics behind here. Project Burning, projects built on top of Hydra can earn percentage of all Hydra their protocols burn. So there's incentive. So Eric is trying to do exactly what I just explained. Exactly what Jake did with Titanx. Build on Titanx protocols and developers to come participate by building on Titanx, and the way they were going to get accepted into this group. And I've talked to developers who have spoken to Jake directly. And when you speak to Jake directly, you have an idea, and your idea, he gives you feedback, and you make those changes, he'll talk about you and support you, right? But the main thing he wants is to make sure that when you make a token in this ecosystem, it's got to pair up because of Hart's law, which he truly believes in. You got to pair your token with Titanx. All tides will rise together. You got to make it an LP, right? And the ones that didn't agree didn't get the nod of approval. They're not being talked about. So when you want the nod of approval when you're a developer, you're going to be facing the same, you think of it like in Shark Tank, right? With your idea and protocol. Great. How much are you burning Hydra? How much Dragon X are you burning? Okay, perfect. That seems good. Here's the project incentives. But at the end of the day, let's say you come up with Thomas G token, and I say, I want to go burn as much Hydra and Dragon X. Awesome. Pair that bad boy up with Hydra and Dragon X. And that created this entire ecosystem with paired LPs of Titanx with these tokens, right? And then there's cashback incentives. So this is more for if you're a builder out there, right? Let me see if there's any questions. 17 people in here. Got to pound the like button. And you got to go and repost my video. Repost it, like it, share it with everybody. We're shortly going to be answering questions here, man. It's an exciting time in DeFi. A very exciting time in DeFi. It really is. All right, so early claim miners. I think this is cool. This is like right out of Hex's page, right? You can end a miner as soon as a minimum of 3 days have passed since a miner was started. It's going to cost you a lot, though, right? You have to pay an early end cost. Early end stake, early end cost. 50% of the initial start cost. Whoa. Gonna cost you. You require a penalty based on the matured minimum penalty of 50% of the Hydra and the miner. Even if the miner is at 90% maturity, a 50% penalty will always happen. Whoa, you could be like the day before. 50% penalty. You just wait. There's no point. You just wait. The Hydra penalty on early claims gets 100% burn. The Titanx penalty costs 50% of the initial starting cost, gets distributed the same way to the Titanx gets distributed when someone starts a miner in Hydra. Hey, man. I don't see why. You might as well just stay. Don't get out. You might as well stay. Let's take a look. I think the price is going up a little bit with Titanx. So, I mean, that's Hydra in a nutshell. It's nothing like you're not familiar with. It's got some tweaks and differences, but what you're seeing here is the recreation of the Titanx ecosystem with Dragon X that is already in a hyper-deflationary period way early on before Titanx, and it has the model built that was already built with Titanx. So I guess you can kind of collect that data and see what happened, right? Versus one and versus the other. One launched right at like a very bearish time in crypto. This one's starting Hydra right before a possible parabolic bull run that people are speculating on. And there's already a lot of flywheels happening. So there's been a lot of trial and error. I mean, we've seen everything play out from the miners being profitable in early times to now that the play was 30 to 40 day miners from day one, and the rest 280 days out if we wanted to make money. Who would have known all that, right? So anything that happened in between, you collect it, you can take it at a loss, blah, blah, blah. People are, upset about it, but hey, it happened. Things were developed further. Now DragonX has its own ecosystem for the greater good of its price as far as burning. Now, participation. This is where it's at. Because DragonX early on didn't have the participation. It didn't. It was tiny until the freaking Genesis wallet happened. So it didn't even have, it wouldn't even be close to this payout right here. How did whoever, no expectations of the work of others. You can see it right here. It says the Genesis wallet, no expectations whatsoever. And believe me, I didn't expect that. And it was a hard pill to swallow because I got diluted. We all went through that, we're just upset, and then it is what it is. It's what's done is done. You got to roll with the punches. So here we are today waiting for, that punch he took. I took that punch. I was like, I still made money. My head came back. I was like, all right, well, F you and F you. But let's, now we move on over here. Some people took that punch and are still on the floor and did ROI for the amount of money they put in on Titanx at a much higher price to stake to chase ROI. I feel really bad for those people. So hopefully this moment right here from them participating in the ecosystem as far as HYDRA will make up all that difference and something good could happen. You know, because there's a lot of people in that. So back to what I was saying, the participation wasn't there. I'm hoping that HYDRA's participation is there because now the community is like 4 or 5 times in size. The community size has grown since Dragon X, so I can understand it was the first project made. People wanted to keep their Titanx. You know, you had people participate, but who would have known that a big old benevolent Genesis wallet was going to do that? That is what was needed to make this happen. So this right here, that sacrifice right here, and these numbers on day 369 and what it's going to do for Dragon X to start burning Titanx again, we're all going to be watching closely because that is like, you know, that will make it everything worth it. So I think in the additions as far as HYDRA and that kickstarting should make things worth it because again, Dragon X is number 1 on the leaderboard, but out of these protocols, right? And I don't know what's going on with Blaze. It's listed here. It has burned the least Titanx out of a project like Inferno that's only been here for a month, right? So now it has a chance to take that lead right at the day 369 payout. Right now, Dragon X is not doing anything as far as burning Titanx, but when HYDRA comes out, that will take your Titanx out of circulation and burn and do burns of Dragon X. And then day 369, 876 ETH. This is not an immutable smart contract. This is run by an individual who can alter how much ETH is being bought and burned and change it at any given times. Change the time frame whether it wants to burn every 20 minutes, every hour. That's the same thing with Titanx, like it or not, with V1 and V2. This is controlled by an individual, whether that's Jake or his best friend or I don't know who it is, when this can start. And this, how much ETH can be spent. So that aspect of things, I really wish it was decentralized and there wasn't somebody behind that, you know, adjusting it. So keep staying healthy, Jake, because we're almost there. We're almost there. And I know we need that person behind there to trigger these to make sure this runs efficiently. The same thing with Dragon X2. You know, something happens before day 369 and Eric's gone. Everyone's going to be freaking out, right? And this will be on autopilot, probably at a set number. So, you know, if we need to adjust it for any reason, you know, you do depend on the person. And I throw that out there because it's important in DeFi to understand that, and you have to accept it and take those risks if you feel like the reward is worth it. And in the crypto, no risk, no reward. High risk, high reward environment at all times. There's really not a whole lot of like absolute decentralization. There is, and then there isn't. So understanding that aspect is important because it just might not be something that you want to do. All right. Let's see. P. Which protocol do you think has the most upside in Titanx? I watched Mo last night, right? I watched Mo's live stream with Richie B. And Richie B said something that struck me as probably like the most important thing I have to remind myself, and most people do, is all roads lead back to Titanx, right? And that's why I think a lot of people early on, like I mentioned with Dragon X, weren't swapping. Because that's the precious token. That's the one that we started this journey on with the idea and dream that all this ecosystem was going to benefit. And onboarding more people was going to get people involved to help ultimately rise those prices and for us to have those bags to be worth a lot more. So all roads lead to Titanx. I don't want to say like, oh, Dragon X is going to, you know, Dragon X is outperforming Titanx. But at the end of the road, when we reach a certain price point, people are going to swap their Dragon X to Titanx, right? and they're going to have more Titanx because of that for early participation or buying in early, right? And that's where all roads lead to. Now, Dragon X is building its own path where when you look at HYDRA, all roads will lead back to Dragon X. You're going to want to swap out your HYDRA when it kickstarts, and you can get more Dragon X back by being an early miner and an early participator, which then converts back to Dragon X, converting back to Titanx. So all roads do lead back to Titanx. So that's my honest answer on where I think the primary focus should be the end result. In between there, strategically figuring out how to use Dragon X like people did to get more Titanx like they can now, swap back to get way more Titanx, and then HYDRA, you're going to swap back to get more Dragon X, swap Dragon X back to Titanx, and ultimately end there. And that is where you could see where this number came from on a 55,000X, right? By this flywheel design. Because the end result is if HYDRA propels and goes up and Dragon X starts to propel and go up and they continuously outperform Titanx, but then you swap back and you get that value in Titanx, you exit the true liquidity, the true value into an in and out, if you want to exit, which is the pair here, Titanx and ETH. That's the true value. That's the true value of extraction here. You won't be able to extract anything with HYDRA to ETH or Dragon X to ETH because they're paired tokens with Titanx, and the tides will rise together, but Titanx and wrapped ETH is where you're going to exit, was where you're going to make your money. That's just how it is designed. That's the truth. There's nothing wrong with that. That was designed to make you more, okay? That's where it was designed to make you more. And while everybody is sitting back enjoying this, we have this money here. And I don't want to say I'm in a position where I don't want to count my chickens before my eggs. I don't want to celebrate now because I look at this and I go, $10.2 million in the back pocket. We got 1.8 here. We got another 2.5 million in hyper. I kind of saw a simulation of what happens when people want to exit out their positions with Richard Hart's sacrifice money, where he put like quick 14 mil and people sold into that. So with a lot of buy pressure comes a lot of sell pressure. And I think this is going to help, just like it did early on, when we get to those new price ranges, help keep it from just tanking. It's going to help recover it back and gradually grow. I don't think the buy and burn, unless it was released all in one shot, which would be silly, then people are going to jump into it like they did with Richard Hart. So the end result for that is the leverage on Ethereum, which this ultimately is. Because it's bonded with ETH, right? It's bonded with Ethereum. So Ethereum goes up, your value of Titanx goes up. And that right there, understanding that is important. This right here, this is compared to the sacrifice funds for Pulse Chain. If you add everything in the flywheel, it's literally like pocket change compared to what Pulse Chain has and what it's positioned to do. So that's funny how the tables will turn, because right now Titanx has more volume than the entire Pulse Chain ecosystem right now. It's happened. It's there. The data's there. But then you got Sack Daddy in the back pocket. And this is like, the sacrifice address would take the money that the Titanx ecosystem has and spend it at the strip club, and it wouldn't put a dent on it. So that's why it's like, we have the participation and education of people is what's going to get this going. You can't depend on the buy and burns. You can't depend on the sacrifice funds, even though that's a ridiculous amount of money that's going to help the Pulse Chain ecosystem overall in the end. Getting people to participate and more users, that is the most stressful thing about this entire flywheel. Is it's designed to do what it's going to do. But we can't have those hesitant people that the the uncertainty of the people, like we did early with Dragon X. I think that's why the Genesis wallet gets involved here, like I said early on. And if it does, that'll create a lot of excitement, like it did. I would want that to happen, at this point, because I saw what it did for the greater good. So I think that's what. It's really difficult. If we kill a 0 here, right, and we go to 5 zeros and a 1, are people going to want to go and spend their Titanx on HYDRA miners? So in order for you to offset those people that don't want to, because they want, especially new people that aren't part of the flywheel early with swapping for Dragon X and all that, you want these people to participate. So you got to give incentive for them to participate and them understanding. So education and onboarding is so important right now. We're at where Pulse Chain was at the beginning, and the Pulse Chain community, the Hex Maxis, killed it, because instead of preaching and telling people to come build, and we're open-minded to utilizing anything you build on chain as long as it's legit and it passes audits, they killed that opportunity. They could have spent that whole year building. Titanx has been building the community. Now the community is going to go out there and make content and bring people on board. Because this buy and burn, like I said, I'm just being honest with you, it's going to help. It's a lot. But compared to like the sacrifice funds, where even though the Hex Maxis destroyed onboarding new developers wanting to build and every token they bashed on it, this money here, this is strip club money for Richard Hart and the sacrifice funds, So we don't have that. But what we have is a bigger, stronger community, and participation is the number one aspect that is going to propel HYDRA. So even though I have my differences with Eric, and Eric's got me blocked on Twitter, I go in there, I try to live chat, say something, he ignores me. He has problems with other community members. If he wants to stay divided between the people that had bad things to say about what happened there, that is completely on him. I'm doing my part and just saying, let's create some unity here between all the communities, and let me really emphasize that we need participation. So by you participating could kickstart your money, and I know you'll be afraid of 5 zeros and a 1. It's going to be exactly what happens with Bitcoin. The reason why when Bitcoin goes into a high BT dominant stage and it's going parabolic, there's a reason why the altcoins have a delayed reaction, and it doesn't go on an altcoin run until after a certain point, right? Then people take profits and they go into altcoins, and then we have an altcoin season. But this is like a way different scenario, right? This is like price of Titanx goes up. Why do I want to spend my Titanx on a price, on a system, on a token that's outperforming mine anyways? So were we going to bridge that gap to get more participation? By education, by people joining, and hopefully that'll kickstart more Ethereum to go into this entire ecosystem. And if you type in hyper, right, you can see 1.8 million here, 977,000, 830,000. So you add that up, even with the Dragon X, 2 million, and you got a lot of wallet holders. There's going to be people taking profits. It's going to be fighting that. Its job is to offset the sell pressure with some buy pressure. But even when it doubles, and ETH doubles, and that doubles, that increases the profit of people that are taking it. So it almost evens out. I would be like, that's why I was like so upset when the whole staking thing happened. I was like, oh man, you took the money that I was going to use to keep making miners, and I'm taking profits elsewhere. And I figured that the fly would keep going amongst the community, and then this number would be probably like triple today. But I don't know. Things will work out the way they're going to work out. Participation. You got to get out there and pitch this idea to people. We have everything in our toolbox, everything we need to succeed, but we need more wallet holders. We need more people. And and there's just there's not a lot at this point. Let's see how many wallet holders that DragonX has. So not only we need wallet holders, but we need people to participate in these flywheels, and it needs to double triple pretty fast. And when we see that, that's going to be amazing, life-changing money for a lot of us, a lot of people, versus where it goes up now and you have just a few big wallets that sell into the price and they make all the money. So we need people so that the community can win on a much larger scale. It's in our control. On most platforms, the top 5 whales make all the money. They dump it into a bear market. And you got to wait until the next cycle. With us, we can kickstart these with more participants, and a lot of us can win compared to what happens out there in the crypto space. Let's see DragonX right here. Sorry, some people like get really irritated with my honesty because they're like, they want to hear hype. I'm hyping this and I'm excited about it, but I understand the key mechanic. I've seen tokens burn 95% of their supply. I've never seen these types of flywheels, but then I saw the participation go down, and you collect the data of anything that's ever burned a token, right? Anything that was ever made as like these other flywheels to help. What dies off is when people are like, oh, I didn't make money right away, I'm out. And if 1,000 of your users are that way, then you're still relying on the original people to participate, but they're waiting on the new people to participate to help their bags go up. And you have like a stagnant movement, and then it was all for nothing. So we have to push on that narrative. Like DragonX wallet holders, 2,444 people. This thing's going to be a year old coming up soon. So I think Eric knows that he needs participation. I heard him mention it, and I've known that. Hopefully he bridges the gaps with some of those people he's not really getting along with. I'm one of them. I'm not looking to make buddies with anybody. I really don't care if he loves or hates me. We connect and we do a live stream. That's good for the community. That's a plus. That's a win. I'm willing to do all that stuff. But what I'm going to focus on is there's only 2,400. Yeah, man, this needs 10,000 holders and then 15,000 to 20,000. That's where these crazy numbers come in down the road. Because if you get 10,000 new wallet holders, let's say 20%, that's 2,000 people of new participants. 20% of them participate in your flywheel protocols. That is a win. That is a huge win. That is what propelled Titanx, was the amount of users and their Ethereum coming in that was triggered, not at the beginning. What triggered that participation coming in at a high rate was all the content creators and all the people posting how crazy ROI their miners were. So yeah, it was a big factor for people like me and all the content creators that went out there and expressed that. That got a lot more users, a lot more ETH into the pool. So there's going to be a heavy amount of content creators and marketing from people that is organic, and that's going to really do great things. Exciting times. What's your strategy for? We got 7 minutes. What's your strategy for mining Hydra, and will you swap for DragonX after you get the token? So the strategy for me is going to be 2 to 5 miners per day. I did Titanx between, how many wallets was it? Well, I think 3 wallets were the most important for me because they were the biggest ones. So I went a total of, my public wallet did about like 20 plus ETH, and then the rest, about 175 Ethereum on 3 wallets, and did miners. And then I had my big staking wallet, I did a ton more ETH. I don't even know the numbers behind that too, a lot. So 175 ETH I went on that. So I have these strategies where I'm going to go on different wallets with different scenarios. So let's say wallet 1 is going to make 2 miners per day max, right? And that one's going to participate for the long haul to see what happens going further. Can I take that Hydra at 88 days out? And will it have outperformed DragonX and be able to swap more DragonX for the value I paid for it? Or, you know, extend it out to swap it for DragonX to ultimately get more Titanx, since it cost me Titanx to get in, right? It's going to play that scenario for the long haul. The second one's going to be, I'm going to go in and I'm looking to take profit. Day 88, am I 100% ROI? Am I 200% ROI? Let me go ahead and collect that. And then the third wallet always goes like the heaviest. And I have to have three different mindsets here. Because I have a split personality in cryptocurrencies. I got really strong hands on one wallet. I got really good positions and strategies on one wallet. And then I got the degen, get rich or get wrecked mentality. It's up and down, lose a lot, win a lot. So I have to control those on separate wallets for me personally because I have all these emotional, like, oh, I want to get in Pippin, or I want to get into Jake X or whatever, you know? So the third one that gets in big is going to compound to extend out my miners further and further. So I've done that with, now my biggest wallet is collecting Titanx miners, right? And it's collecting the Titanx miners. It's taking the Titanx and it's converting into swapping for like Helios, DragonX, participating in all the build on Titanx protocols. And that same wallet where I strategically go in with HYDRA is going to 88 days out, swap into some profit as far as Titanx to make more Titanx, to use more Titanx to make more miners for HYDRA. And have different angles at all times, right? If I have my all on one wallet, all even on two wallets, all one mind, one mindset, it would be the end result of what that wallet does, right? For the whole shebang. So that's why, I mean, man, my tax guy hates me. I think I own like 55 active wallets that the tax guy's like, dude, my tax guy charges me. He says he's only going to charge me $25,000 this time, but because I have so many more transactions on Pulse Chain that he has to go offline to calculate because you can't go on their Block Explorer. It's like, oh, it's going to cost me like another $5,000 or something. But he did it was like $36,000 for last year. It's ridiculous. But the reason being is because I have all these wallets and they all have different transactions. So I'm probably a nightmare for my CPA. But he's a crypto. He does this for crypto, right? He's a young guy, well off, knows blockchain, knows everything about Titanx. He knows everything about DragonX, about anything I've ever touched. He knows about it, and he can explain to me. I bet you when I talk to my guy, he'll tell me exactly what I should probably do with HYDRA. That's how smart he is. He's not some TurboTax person who does like what. I thought this is just Bitcoin. There's other coins, you know. He understands all this stuff. It's pretty cool. That's why he gets paid the big bucks. Make some short-term miners, make some long-term miners. I'm not going to do anything with short-term miners. I'm going to, because of what happened with Hyper. So it's going to be long-term. But yeah, if you have that, that'd be cool. Inferno just broke all-time high. Did it? Let's take a look at Inferno. Inferno, what did it? I know it killed the zero, but making the all-time highs. Wow. Take a look at Blaze. The next live stream, whether it's in the next day or so, I want to get with the project people from Flux. If they give a Flux to even talk to me, I don't know who they are. I would love to speak with them so I can do a video live stream about Flux. Because a lot of people are excited about it. $2.93. Man, keep on winning. Keep on winning. I did a live stream about this, and I went in pretty big at these prices, and then it's just bang. Can't lose with the Titanx ecosystem. Everything else outside of this, you know, the Pulse Chain's really down, so you had to like ratio trade and do certain things. Dollar cost average. Hopefully, Sack Daddy comes. Meme tokens are hit or miss depending on which wallet. It's crazy. So, any questions? How many viewers? 29 viewers. Not a whole lot of questions. Let's see. Yeah, we got about it. Yeah, we're gonna end it here. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else I could really add. Got to go out there, and that's gonna be the new thing. Hashtag participation, man. I know it's hashtag build on Titanx. You know, all Unity's an important thing. That's why I talked about Eric. I don't think he's like me, like, you know, he started going on there and talking ish. You know what's funny about the whole thing and why I didn't like him, and it's funny, it dragged me into it. When he had beef with Mo and blocked Mo, I was like, F this dude, right? And then when the staking thing happened, that was like the blow where I was like, then we bashed heads. So that bridge could always be, gapped if he chooses. I've said publicly, I'm willing to be like, for the greater good, what would I do in a conversation with him? Would I sit there and say sorry all for 20 minutes? No, I would say this happened, that happened. I don't care. If you don't care, I don't care. Let's move on. What could I do to go with my 2,000 subscribers on YouTube and my people community on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it? What can I do to help make Hydra successful? I'm a businessman like that. That's where, we don't have to love each other or like each other, but we're in the same community, homie. Like that's where it's at. Like if I want to be real, like this was in the streets or something like that, like we're grown men, like what am I gonna hurt you over some staking protocol? Like no, like we talk about it and we can tell each other to F off all we want, but then we bridge here so that we can go here so that we can make things right for the community, for the greater good. Egos and all that, man, I don't care. And Jason's pretty cool too. So stuff happens. So don't forget to pound the like button, right? You got to make love to it. You got to post this on X. He's going to say it was a beneficial move, but no one was warned. He could say it was a beneficial move. I don't know about the Genesis wallet. Again, the Genesis wallet, no expectations, right? And but everyone's like embracing him. Embrace yourself. There is no ETH to get diluted in a payout system. Dragon X was built to succeed based off those payouts, to take that ETH to do what it's doing today. So think people like me, think people like you, think the community. Eric's got to thank you too. Everyone's going there. I see they're like, oh, Eric, he built it, and they will come. But the design came from everyone's money. This flywheel is everybody's money. So we got to thank him. We got to thank you. We got to thank this person, that person. Why hate each other? Unity is a real thing. That's all I got to say. So, and I'm talking about his projects. How much can I really care about what happened then? Should I just hold my Titanx like holding Ethereum? Like I said, Richie B said it best. All roads leave the Titanx. Till next time, we'll